think I have to look at it for it to focus on me. Hi. Ace Ventura, pet detective. This is one of my cats, Moo Moo. Say hello, Moo Moo. She hates me so much. I am back at it again with another video about St. Andrews because I have no other personality other than film studies major. So, here we go. First up, hi, explanation, I am Cass. I am a third year English and Film Studies double major, which means I'm going into honors, which means my program just changed a bit in ways that I was not quite ready for, which I'll explain later. But yeah, I went to St. Andrews completely blind, literally had never seen a picture of the school, so I had no idea what I was getting into. So I made the first video because of people like me, because I am not the only person, and I think this one will be a little bit better because I'm going to have a lot more information in same sort of small amount of time. So we'll see. First up, if you've never been to the town, it is 3 streets. It has been 3 streets for hundreds of years. It is a bit bigger in terms of like the general area. You've got the old course, which is over by the West Sands, which is in the north and north-ish. And you've got the Badland, which is basically anything past the Kinnisburn River, stream, creek, whatever. And those are basically like down a hill. It's like part of the town, but it's a little bit of a commute. So people talk about it as if it's, like where you get banished to after you leave halls. But it's genuinely like a decent area. The entire area is decent. It's gotta be decent if you're paying £500 a month. So, I mentioned halls and I mentioned £500 rent. I'll get to that first. So halls, when it comes to halls, there's so many of them, and they're all interesting. I can make a comprehensive list of my opinions on them, but basically I will tell you the best, in my opinion, Macintosh, and I am not biased because I lived there for 2 years. I am biased solely because of the fact that, like, the people in Macintosh were pretty great, and the location is pretty great, and the rent isn't as high as other places in town, and it's also not as pretentious as Sally's. So the worst of the accommodation, and I think I can speak for everyone, is probably DRA ABH when it comes to commute, because they're both out of town and like far, and ABH is designed exactly like a prison. Like, I live in Baltimore, or near Baltimore, and I've seen the prison. Very similar architecture. But also Gannicky. People don't talk about it, but Gannicky, it's a concrete block in the middle of town that is, like, broken. Like, everything in there is just always broken, as far as I've been able to tell. So it doesn't suck to live in all of those places, depending on how your experience is, but it isn't the best. The basic breakdown of halls is that you get, there's like catered, non-catered, and then there's ensuite and non-ensuite. And if you don't know what those mean, basically catered is like they give you meals, 3 meals a day, except for on the weekends usually it's only 2 meals, although I think during COVID times they were like, we're doing dinners. And then ensuite is basically if you have a bathroom in your room. So like ABH, it's kind of like living in a hotel room, but like a cheap hotel room, unless you don't have like an ensuite, but I don't know. And like you can have varying room sizes, like especially in Macintosh, there's no way to tell really how big your room is gonna be because they're all different. And if you can figure out what your room number is and find like a map of that hall that shows the rooms, that's your best bet at trying to figure out how big your room is gonna be, because otherwise Not a clue. Not a clue. When it comes to rent in town, it is so variable because you could get a flat in the middle of town on Market Street for like upwards of £1,000 a month per person for like 2-3 people. But then I'm living in a flat that's not in town, but it's like in town, and I'm paying like £500 a month, and we're living with like 4 people. So it depends. And if you go past the Kinnisburn into the Badlands that I was talking about, then the rent drops significantly because it's seen as less prime real estate because none of the golfers and old people live there. St. Andrews is a divided town. It's a town for 2 different groups of people. It's a town for students, and it's a town for old, rich, white tourists. Whether they're golf fans or whether they're just tourists. And the locals get canceled out of all of it because, I don't know. As far as food goes in town, you've got a lot of chain restaurants in town, so like Nando's and like Blackhorn Burgers, and I think also there's like a Subway and stuff. But you've also got like Dr. Noodles is pretty good. You've got like Rendezvous, which is like French cuisine, and then like sort of deli stuff. Really underrated, really good. You've got 2 restaurants that a lot of people will argue over. It's Dervish and Empire. Personally, I'm an Empire supporter, although they're all basically run by the same group of people. We all know it's a money laundering scam anyways. But, you know, Empire Pizza at 2 a.m. is like one of the most religious experiences I've ever had. So, you know, it's really up to you. I would personally advise Empire or Shawarma House, because Shawarma House is back in business, baby. But yeah, there's like more expensive high-end places, again for the tourists, not really for the students or for the rich students, you know, the ones that come from like, you know, private schools and stuff, you know, the types. But there's also like regular things for us poorer students, you know, like Tesco meal deals for like £3. In town they have a Tesco. Out of town they've got an Aldi and a Morrison's. The commute to Aldi and Morrison's is kind of hellish if you are getting a lot of stuff and you live in town. So I would advise to, if you are going to go to Aldi, because fair enough, I would say be prepared to haul a lot of stuff back because they do have things in bulk. And Tesco is like the most expensive Tesco in the UK, I think, our Tesco. So, you know, like I spend a lot of my money there, but the £3 meal deal, it do be looking real real enticing sometimes, and sometimes you just gotta do a Tesco meal deal. So as far as where your classes will be, if you have in-person classes, a lot of like the arts stuff will be in town, usually like English and I think a lot of the languages are in the north side of town, and then like psych and I think the med student stuff is on the south side of town, and then all of the like science-y physics, computer science is over by ABH, so it's a little out of town. And that's just general. I don't know where all of the classes are, obviously. A lot of courses also do lectures and tutorials in the quad, which is St. Salvatore's quad, I believe. And it's, you know, where you'll see every single photo of St. Andrews is like that green square where they had the giant inflatable lobster. That's the quad. And if you are questioning about the lobster, do not question the lobster. It exists and it is there. There is one by the library and it will haunt your dreams. If you're looking for places to go that aren't like the Union and Club 601. There's a couple places to go in town. There's like a botanical garden that's really nice. Lade Braes Walk is really pretty. You can walk around at any of the beaches. You can go on the Fife Coastal Path. There's like some really interesting farms out on the Fife Coastal Path, and you can like see some like sheep and horses just walking around. And then there's the castle and the cathedral. And the cathedral you can get into for free, and the castle you can also get into for free if you have proof that you live in St. Andrews, which is basically like, you know, a bank statement of your thing, or like basically your student ID. You can just be like, hi, I'm a student, and they'll be like, cool, just don't come in here after midnight drunk with your friends on Halloween, because I've never done that. If you're looking for places to go out of town, Edinburgh is like an hour's train ride away. You'll have to get the bus from St. Andrews, like the town, to Leuchars train station. And then also Dundee, you can get a bus from St. Andrews to Dundee direct. It's like, I want to say like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that. Not too far. And then, you know, you can get to London from Edinburgh, or I think, and don't quote me on this, there might be a train from Leuchars to London. It's a long train ride though, so good luck with that. You can get to places like Perth and like Stirling pretty easily from, again, Leuchars. And like Glasgow, I want to say, is a bit of a trek. I want to say it's like 6 hours, and I'll correct myself up here if I'm wrong. But yeah, you could get to anywhere from the Leuchars train station, and you can get to the Leuchars train station with a quick like £2, £3 ticket bus ride from the St. Andrews bus station, which is right like next to Macintosh. It's like in town. If you can, like, get out of town at least once, because St. Andrews is the bubble for a reason. Everything is sort of closed off, and you'll want to get out of town at some point. And the social life in St. Andrews, how to sum up the culture of St. Andrews. It's using LinkedIn as an actual, genuine social media platform instead of just as a way to hawk your resume around. It's having a conversation with a hardcore communist and a hardcore Tory about what flavor of gin is the best to go with this particular type of cheese. There's 601 and the Union, the student association run bar and club, which is where a lot of people will meet a lot of people. But you can also meet people through societies, which should hopefully be up and running again this year. There's a ton of societies. There's basically a society for everything, and if there isn't, you can form your own pretty easily. And also, there's Facebook. So literally everything is on Facebook, right? Basically, like, any society is gonna have a Facebook page, pretty much, or an Instagram page. There's a lot of St. Andrews Facebook groups. You're probably on one, or your parents are on one, or you, the parent, are on one. And like there's also some Facebook groups that are like unofficial St. Andrews groups, like St. Poldrews or like St. Catdrews. There is a naming convention for all of these things. It's St. Blank Drews because we're unoriginal Oxbridge rejects. Another aspect of St. Andrews' social stuff is the concept of academic families. You've probably heard this term thrown around a bunch. You've probably seen it in their promotional stuff of like, you'll get to know these people and they'll be like your real family. And I'm like, they'll be like your real family if your mom and dad are both raging alcoholics, but they're fun about it. Yeah, no, like every family is different. But like basically it's third years adopting first years, and they'll be their mom and dad or non-gendered parent, and then they'll take these children on crazy adventures, and there's like a weekend, don't know when it's going to be this year, but there's a weekend where everyone gets dressed in costume and does a foam fight, and then like the day before their parents will send them out on a scavenger hunt and wake them up really early in the morning to have them do insane tasks. And like, I know on my raisin, I was told to get to the West Sands Beach at 8:04 a.m., specifically 8:04, not a minute earlier, not a minute later, and told to drink the worst concoction of beverages I have ever had the pleasure to drink. So there's that. Not all academic families drink, so if you're concerned about that, definitely make sure that whoever is adopting you knows, because people will be chill about it. The people who aren't chill about it aren't chill people in general, and you probably don't want to be in that academic family. But also, you can shop around for academic families. Like, you don't have to settle on the first person who says, hey, do you want to be my academic kid? You don't even have to settle on the third or fourth person. Honestly, like, we've had people join our family and then drop out and then all that. It's like any society or any like social thing. Like, as long as you're nice and as long as you're polite about it, you know, people are gonna understand. You just gotta vibe it out, man. And if you're looking to join an academic family, well, I am a third year and I am adopting kids. I have 3 lovely academic spouses, and we have interests ranging from like rock climbing shit to like English to like other things, theater, sports, maybe some science. We've got it all. So join my academic family, because you already know how much of a dad I am. Look at me, I dress like one. This entire video is just me marketing for my academic family. If you're wondering about diversity on campus, as a gay, I can tell you that it's very LGBT friendly, and the people who aren't are not very loud, and usually we speak over them with glee. And if you're not extremely white, as I am, I can put some links to some good resources in the description, and also probably pop them here, because St. Andrews, I am not gonna lie, it is the whitest. It is a school in Scotland. There are some resources that you can look into, and there is a really good supportive community of international students, and a lot of people are really cool about it. And even if they're like really uneducated, a lot of people are willing to learn and listen. It's not your job to educate them, you don't have to, but like, if you've got spare energy, like, they're usually really chill. As far as stuff with disabilities and mental health goes, I would say the Disabilities Network, I've heard a lot of, like the University Disabilities Network, I've heard mixed reviews of. Like, some people have found it incredibly helpful and like super, super great, and other people have found it so incredibly bureaucratic and so horrendously bad. So I would say brace yourself for a little bit of pushback, at least. Not saying that like every experience is bad, but I would say you're probably used to weird bureaucratic bullshit, so I would expect more. And when it comes to mental health, kind of similar vibes. This year they've been a little bit more accepting with like, you know, hey, everything's going wrong right now, so I kind of can't do things. But I would definitely like try to get as much stuff in writing as you possibly can, so you can hold the university accountable when they inevitably don't do things, because it's great to have, you know, have it in writing that you're like, hey, hi, I physically cannot do this work right now. And if the university tries to be like, well, then you can be like, hey, I've told you this. You can usually get extensions. It really depends on the department. I have to say School of Modern Languages is probably the worst when it comes to that. But usually professors and module coordinators will be like really understanding if you come to them about an extension. And if you need an extension, like, and if you know you're gonna need an extension, I would say as early as you can get it in, like, really as early as you can get it, send it in and be like, hey, I need an extension. You don't have to like use excuses. If you could literally just be like, straight up say, I can't do this because mental health reason, and they'll probably usually take that. And if they don't, then you can fight it usually. If they tell you that you need to have a registered disability, you don't. You just need to talk to student services and get them to be like, I have verified that you have a problem. So hopefully that will mitigate things like that. I hope that was useful, and I hope it didn't drag on too long. I hope you will enjoy your time at St. Andrews if you're going, and if you're not like quite sure, if you're using this as a deciding factor, I hope that you make a decision that is more informed, because I'm not the most, knowledgeable person in the world, but I do know St. Andrews pretty well, and I know a lot of different aspects of St. Andrews. So yeah, I hope this informed your decisions, and I hope you have a good morning, good evening, good night, to make another Jim Carrey reference, and goodbye.